A StarCraft strategist has the ability to combine the innovative, perceptive, and holistic insights of a build order with the pragmatic and systemic skills of a pro to guide strategic direction in the StarCraft universe. Introducing the Strategist.
And good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 6 of The Strategist. My name is OctanePro, and joining me, as always, is my co-host, Buddha. Buddha, how's it going? Oh, your mic is muted, Buddha. Dope.
It's now going much better, Octane.
That's good. I was going to say. Jeez, well, good deal, good deal. Well, welcome, folks, to episode 6 of The Strategist. Today we're going to be going over the Roach Baneling All-In, which is a very popular build that we've started to see over the last few seasons. But without further ado, before we jump in, we kind of want to let you guys know about a deal that has come our way, which we definitely want to promote. One of our sponsors is a company by the name of Tweaked Audio. They are a high-end earbud company, and they make some top-of-the-line earbuds that are designed for gaming, music, and talk, and they have amazing noise canceling. Like, I can't emphasize it enough. Buddha and I were actually testing it a little bit before the stream, and they're really, really good. So if you're looking for a really nice set of earbuds, which works with any of your phones or MP3 players, you can't beat the price. And I say that because for their top-of-the-line earbuds, it's about $27, $26. If you use our promo code BUILDORDER, which is on your screen right now, you get 30% off of that. So for their top-of-the-line headphones, it's then only $15.95. And then to top it all off, it's a lifetime warranty. So definitely check it out, tweakedaudio.com. They support us, so please go support them and definitely check them out. Once again, tweakedaudio.com. And then, anyways, moving on into the show here, let's jump into a little StarCraft 2 news. Anything particular that you've been watching recently, Buddha?
Dude, I know you've been watching a lot of the ASUS ROG. I saw the finals, but...
Okay. Well, I actually did not get to watch the finals yet. I'm hoping to watch it coming up here shortly. Over the next day or two, but so don't spoil it. But long story short, one of the games that I want you guys to focus on, if you can go back and watch the VODs, is EG Suppy versus Liquid Hero. And for those of you that have kind of been out of the scene a little bit, EG's newest member to the StarCraft 2 team is a player by the name of Suppy. He is a North American player. He actually goes to school at Berkeley University. And he plays StarCraft 2 full-time as a pro. And he's a new member of EG. I think it was like 2 weeks back he joined the team. And one of the best series that I saw was EG Suppy versus Liquid Hero. And the reason I wanted to show you guys that, kind of talk about that is that the series is tied up 1-1, best of 3. The last game we actually saw Liquid Hero go and block Suppy's natural with a with a pylon, which, you know, okay, pretty typical. But most of the time what you see there is the Zerg player then go ahead and take his third as his kind of natural, quote unquote. Well, Liquid Hero blocked that as well. So this set back EG Suppy a huge amount. And believe it or not, we saw Suppy come back from it, do a ton of damage to Liquid Hero. And in the very end, we had a very large army, pretty much giant 200 armies clash together, and we ended up seeing Liquid Hero come out on top. But his army composition was interesting because it was Void Rays, carriers, and a mothership, which I'm really happy to see carriers as we're kind of getting closer and closer to Heart of the Swarm, as they will be kind of not being with us anymore. But it was a really cool series, and I definitely want you guys to check it out.
Double vortex all the way across the sky. Yeah, no, really cool. And, well, I am going to spoil the tournament since, you know, we're doing a news segment. We can't do a news segment and not include the news.
I guess.
All right, well, Tajii did win over MC in the grand finals and took first place. It was 13 grand, actually. That's a lot of money.
Wow.
For a tournament like the ASUS ROG, also known as Assembly. I really hope I'm not actually confusing myself by saying that, but yeah, no, a really cool tournament, happens a few times a year. And yeah, it was Tajii MC, and then 4GG, and then Moon. So a couple of lesser known names. I mean, obviously they were really big before, and they kind of like dropped off and stuff. But Moon's kind of cool to see his name up there.
Yeah, Moon was quite popular about a year ago, and definitely within the scene. And I'm really glad to see him like starting to make his way back into that scene a little bit more, because he's a really good player regardless.
And also, I just want to touch on, it's not really that related to the show.
Sure.
Well, yeah, it's debatable.
Okay.
But OSL, the last OSL for Brood War happened this last weekend.
Oh, did a tear run down your cheek? Did you have a tear run down the cheek
Last
there?
week. Well, I wasn't a huge Brood War watcher until I started watching StarCraft 2. Like, I didn't actually know there was, like, a real pro scene, and sorry, I'm terribly sorry, but Jongbi did beat Fantasy and is the last Brood War OSL player or winner ever. So, congratulations to him. Everyone kind of thought that
Fantasy would take it.
Well, yeah. Well, no, but everyone kind of thought that, fuck, why am I completely blanking right now? Flash would take it. Oh my god.
Okay.
I was like, Terran, meme. Everybody uses it. No, totally blanking right there. Everyone kind of thought Flash had the best chance at least.
Okay.
And that didn't happen. He actually lost to TVT, I think. So, yeah, rest in peace, Brood War. That's right, G-Dog.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Well, that's really cool. I mean, I really hope that we can see StarCraft 2, some of the leagues last that long as some of the Brood War leagues. I mean, I don't know. I'd love to see it. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I'd love to see it. But regardless, if you guys want some more extensive StarCraft 2 news, I definitely recommend you guys check out the StarCast Show, which is a weekly show that airs right here at twitch.tv/amovetv on Thursday nights at 8 p.m., where you can find Garrett and Kyle go over not only StarCraft news, but tournament news, esports, and they actually have on weekly guests. So make sure you guys check that out.
Really big weekly guests.
Yeah, they've had some big names. They've had MLG Sundance on there, Sir Scoots, A-Control, a bunch of players, sponsors like Kim Rom from Steel Series. So make sure you guys check that out. It's right actually on the left-hand side. If you're looking at our Twitch page right now, you can see the schedule of our stream. So make sure you guys check that out. And if you want more information, it's actually below the stream right now. And you can find a little bit of more details if you guys are interested in checking that out. But without further ado, let's go actually jump into a new segment of our show. This part of the show is for beginners, and we're actually calling it the Noob Tip of the Week.
Yeah, so let us know how you like this, and we'll see if it's helpful at all to anybody or people don't care or whatever. But Octane, actually, are you in the replay right now? Do you want to open it and show people how to do this real quick?
Sure. So I'm in the game right now. Go ahead and walk us through it.
All right, so if you are in game and you press F10 and then O for options or click on it or whatever you want, and then go down to gameplay, there are a couple of things that I don't think most people do or know or care about, but it actually makes a big difference for me at least. When you're clicking around the screen all fast and stuff, you don't know exactly where you're going. So if you go to the gameplay section of the options and you go to user interface, there's two little drop-down menus. One is the menu bar and one is for control groups. So I don't know how many people know that you can click on control groups and right-click on control groups, but if you right-click on it, everything that's currently in your group becomes that group. So you can actually unset your control groups really easily on accident that way. So you can set it to unclickable so that they're all still there, but you can't click on them. Or you can set it to hidden, but then you can't see them. So you have to memorize what your control groups are all the time and keep them in mind. But menu bar is at the top bar with, help. Well, help is F12, and then message log, and menu, and achievements. And those are kind of useless. I mean, F9, F10, F11, F12, they're not that hard to remember. So you can put it on unclickable also, so you don't accidentally do that while you're trying to split your Marines and everything just dies all of a sudden. But I have it on hidden, and you just memorize the buttons, and it's not that hard. But hopefully that leads to some less control issues that sometimes we see on accident. You never want to lose the game because of something really dumb like that.
Yeah, no, it's very, very helpful. I actually usually have my menu off as well, hidden. I mean, the only thing I really go into is the menu anyway, so F10 is just kind of set in stone right there for me to memorize. But a really good tip. We hope that helps out some of our new players. And if we don't get any negative feedback, we'll keep bringing those to you guys every week. If you guys think of a kind of a noob tip of the week that you guys would like us to kind of highlight that we haven't already, go ahead and email that to us, thestrategisttv@gmail.com. And we'll try to get it in the next episode. But without further ado, let's go ahead and move into the main focus of the show, which is going to be the Zerg Roach Baneling All-In, which is primarily versus Terran. And Buddha, why don't you tell us a little bit about the history of this build?
Sure. So the game started out, every Terran was 2-axing Zergs. Zergs couldn't stop it. Zergs learned to stop it. Terrans had to go like, uh-oh, I have no more builds. So they started going into more expansion-based builds like Reactor Hellion. Of course, this is a very, very short summarization. But, yeah, we started seeing Terrans go, oh, this Reactor Hellion build's really good, and they kill all the Zergs with it. And then Zergs are like, oh, I shouldn't take a fast third, so they stay on 2 bases. So now the Terran's like, well, I can't hurt them on these 2 bases because they're not taking a fast third, so they expand faster. And now the Zergs are like, well, I don't know what you're doing, so I need a way to punish a fast expand if you do it. And this is what came out of it, and it kind of flows with the metagame a little bit. I mean, as long as you get that little bit of scouting information you need as Zerg, you can definitely have the potential to do a lot of damage with a build like this. And there are a lot of variations. There's no one set way to do it. Everyone has their different variation. I didn't post them all because there's like 400 of them. But yeah, no, we're going to show you a few of them and how powerful it can be and how kind of hard it is to stop, but how to stop it, kind of, sort of, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. No, I completely agree. And this was definitely popularized by DRG and Stefano, some very big names currently in the StarCraft 2 scene. So just kind of something to keep in mind in the back of your head. You know, we did our first episode was a DRG build as well. So a very innovative player, which has really developed a lot of the metagame for a lot of other players when it comes to builds. But without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the build order slide here.
Sure.
And,
let's take 1 sec, because
sure.
somebody told me that somebody is much louder than someone else, and I just want to make sure we are balanced here.
Sure, no problem.
Is somebody much louder, audience, crowd? Buddha is louder? All right, so turn your mic up.
That's all right. I'm going to balance you out right there. Perfect. That should be perfect right now. You're balanced out about 60% now, so you should be good to go. Chat room, if you have any other issues, please let us know.
Yeah. And if you have questions, let us know, because we're trying to be way more interactive with the chat. Well, the chat usually doesn't ask very many questions. But if you guys have questions, not is Buddha drunk, because that's a good question, but I'm not. Let us know, and I'll try to answer them, or Octane will try to answer them on stream and stuff. So, all right, let's hop into these slides here.
All right, and let's jump into the build order here, and Buddha, take it away.
All right, so basically the metagame right now for Zerg versus Terran is to go 15 hatch, 15 pool, and not take a very early gas most of the time. So we generally see 1 to 2 sets of Zerglings come out just to deny scouts, deny any kind of bunker pressure that might come out or whatever. And we really did see that gas delayed from anywhere to 36 to 44. And in that time, people take 2 to 3 to 4 gases, depending on how fast they want to tech, how fast they want to take that third base, how many queens they want to get, how many upgrades they want to get at the same time, if they're going Spire or Infestation Pit really quick. There's all sorts of things to think about, but the opening is always 15 hatch, 15 pool, unless you feel really unsafe and want that Zergling speed.
Excellent. Sounds good. And then pretty much just to jump in real quick, guys. So when you're doing that exact route that Buddha is talking about, you want to make sure that you have some type of defense versus scouting. If it's a queen, if it's a spine, either way, you want to have something available to deny that. And that will definitely help you guys out with stopping your opponent from scouting this out.
Yeah, and, you know, they might burn a scan, they might do, but whatever. It's better to make them burn that. And if they're doing something crazy like pretending to expand and building 5 barracks, much better to have that extra little bit of defense than having to pull all your drones and try to defend it. So that's definitely very important, even in this build that we're going to be doing a somewhat all-in
whatever, no big deal. All right, jumping on there, guys, at 36, you pretty much have 3 options here. You go with the 3 gases, speed, and then you push into droning. So as you can see there, prioritization is the 3 gases, your speed, and then keep droning up. And these are all key, and we'll actually see once we jump into the builds, you'll see why we say, hey, take your 3 gases first over your speed, and then, of course, your droning.
Yeah, so, sorry, I do want to just hop back for 1 second. Sure. If you feel relatively safe about what your opponent's opening with, if you assume it's a 1-rax expand and they're actually expanding off of it, then go with that extra queen, not the extra spine crawler, because the queen's going to allow you to spread creep. The spine's going to be very good against Hellions and stuff, but this build is actually going to hit if they do a 1-rax FE and not Reactor Hellion opening, where you're going to have Roaches out in time, and they're going to see them kind of regardless, even if you have a spine. So with this build, if you feel safe against a non-marine all-in, then just go for that extra queen. Spread that creep.
Spread that creep. Yep, definitely. All right, jumping into around the 44 mark, give or take 1 or 2 in there. You definitely want to be putting down your Roach Warren. And right away, stop your droning, and then you need to make to 3 to 4 overlords. And Buddha, why is that so important, that last part there about the overlords?
Well, because roaches take a lot of supply, Octane.
Pretty much
4 roaches is 1 overlord. So if we're going to make 12 roaches, we actually need 3 overlords just for those 12 roaches. And if we're doing a Roach Baneling all-in, we need Zerglings too. So we got to make more overlords. But, of course, that Baneling nest starts after those roaches have started. So you have time to make more overlords before those roaches come out and you can start Zerglings. Because you have to wait for another larva pop.
Correct. And pretty much what happens there at the 7:30 mark, your 12 roaches will pop out, and you need to make your Baneling nest right away. And once that's completed, you can, it depends on your type of style, you can either move out directly with those roaches and kind of secure some of the map. But the most important thing there is you want to continue with Zerglings and Overlords as needed, because you need to get those Zerglings up to your, right outside of your opponent's base, and then you need to morph those Zerglings in time right away as soon as that Baneling nest finishes. But as Buddha specified, you need to have the supply count in order to morph them into the Banelings, because every second counts when you're trying to pull off this build.
Yeah, so you kind of want to hide your roaches as long as possible and guesstimate how long it's going to take them to get there. And you want to line them up so that your Banelings finish when your roaches get there, unless they have Hellions out, and then you want to kind of get there at the same time so you can defend your Banelings while they're morphing. But remember that if your Banelings do take damage while they're in egg form, they pop with full health still. So in that sense, you'll be okay against a little bit of pressure. But yeah, definitely you want to hide your roaches as long as possible to give them the minimal amount of time to build defenses.
Excellent. All right, let's go ahead and jump into variations here of this build. And just a few variations here. This kind of build can be started by a hatch, a pool, or a gas build. There's a lot of diversity, and as we get towards the end of these builds and showing these builds, well, you can't emphasize enough. You know, it all comes down to your play style. You know what you'd like to do, but definitely keep that in mind as we're reviewing these.
And this is the original variation that we're talking about here. Sorry, it's that 15 hatch, 15 pool, 15 gas into Zergling speed, and then you leave guys on gas, and then they only take a second gas. So that gas income from the beginning, it delays your drones a little bit, but you don't have to take that third gas, and you can still do the same build. So it's kind of a tell if you see more than 100 gas getting mined, and you're getting a little bit more all in at the beginning because you're mining that gas ahead of time. So if you all of a sudden go, oh, I actually can't do this anymore, then you already have the gas and nothing to use it on. Yeah. So hopefully you don't want to do that, especially since the metagame's not taking gas early.
Yeah. Emphasizing on gas there, as you can see the second line down, this has pretty much been turned into a third gas out of 36 supplies. So if you guys are taking down notes or trying to kind of scale yourself as to your timing, make sure around the 36 that you are taking your third gas, and that is definitely necessary. I mean, what you'll notice if your gas timing isn't proper or you forget a gas, when you get to the point when you get that Baneling nest, you're going to realize right away that you do not have the gas count in order to support the build whatsoever.
Right away.
Like, wait, I can't build all these Banelings I want? What the heck's going on? Alrighty, well, go ahead, Buddha, take it away.
Yeah, so the reason we're not taking the early gas, like I said, is so it can't be rescouted if you mined over 100, so Terran dropping a scan, getting a Hellion in, even though it would be a really fast Hellion, or getting an SCV up there if your queens aren't paying enough attention to your ramp. If they see you mining more than 100 gas, you're pretty screwed. They're not going to do their build anymore. They should just go straight into, like, Tank Marauder or something like that and just come kill you while you're making these really crappy units that they'll be completely prepared against. So, that don't mine more than 100 gas initially if you are doing a fast gas build. And this build is very fluid. You can do whatever you want. If you want to make 9 roaches, you can do 9 roaches. If you want to make 12, you can do 12. Just keep in mind, you just got to keep that gas count correct, right? You got to take your gases a little bit earlier or a little bit later, however you want to do it, however all in you want to be. And that's why we're going to show you a few examples, but you're going to have to experiment and tweak and see what you like the most in-game by yourself.
Excellent. Sounds good. All right, guys, let's go ahead and jump into Game 1. Once again, we're going over the Roach Baneling All-In, which is a very popular Zerg build this day and age, kind of popularized by, as we said earlier, Stefano and DRG. So let's go ahead and bring up game one. And just to clarify here, we're going to have TSL Hune, and from what I remember, runner-up is actually Loner. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, and I'm set to faster. And are you all good?
Good to go.
All right, let's go ahead and get started in 3, 2, and 1. And in the bottom left-hand corner of the map on Untuned Valley, we do have TSL Hune.
Yeah, Hune actually making a bigger name for himself lately. He's played in GSTL and a few other leagues, and just kind of making a name for himself now that I know who he is from the Strategist Open, of course. So we're actually going to see some really cool things out of him, and I'll talk about them as they come up. But at the top left, we do have runner-up, also known, well, not also known, but his actual ID is Loner Prime.we. Some people might have known him as before. He's a Warcraft 3 player, played with like the same group of Moon and all of them and stuff. So Chinese Terran, and he's really good. So we're going to see an awesome game on Untuned Valley between them for the TSL Korean qualifiers, I think.
I think that's where this one came from.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're going to see a 15 hatch from Hune. But one thing I want to talk about is he's going to scout on this map at, like, 12 supply. And the reason for that is there's a really dumb spot where you can fit a bunker and that you can't hit the SCV right next to the natural ramp. So he's checking over to the right. You can't spawn horizontal positions. He's checking for any proxy racks because this is the perfect spot. Because Loner's spawning at the top left. His opponent can only spawn bottom right, bottom left. So putting it bottom middle, he knows his opponent won't scout there.
Yeah.
So double proxy racks there is a great spot, and that's why he checks there, makes sure it's not there, scouts cross first.
Yeah, definitely. And as Buddha had said, we actually saw TSL Hune really, for us and myself actually, you know, coming to light during the Strategist Open, which we did a few weeks back. So if you guys do want to check that out, TSL Hune actually took first in that tournament, and you can check that out on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/thestrategist.tv. So pretty much,
so we have a 15.
Yep, go ahead.
Sorry. 15 hatch, 15 pool, very standard out of Hune, not taking a gas yet. We have a 1 racks expand out of Loner here, and as we can see, he is going to take his SCV and abuse the most abusive spot on this entire map right there. Walling that SCV to the inside half of the time is so annoying, and yeah.
As a Terran player, I love to see that. You know, I mean, I understand with the surround that Zerglings do, it's so effective to kind of get in that position. So.
Oh, you actually messed it up.
Yeah, because you can get right behind there. He needs to tuck it in a little bit farther. But regardless, so we do see that the hatch does go down along with the spawning pool here. And now something to pay attention to after this is his gas timing. When he takes his gas, how long he stays on his gas, all very important things to kind of focus on when it comes to learning this build.
So Loner did get 1 drone there, and that's kind of important. He lost a Marine, and he's going to lose 25 minerals on this bunker, but not too big of a deal either side. It was kind of an even trade. 4 Zerglings come out for Hune, and he's actually going to scout that the command center did go down with his overlord at the natural of Loner. He's going to go ahead and back off there. Now, this map is very difficult for Zerg to overlord scout with because there's not a lot of surface area for it to come in, right? It's either going to come in from the bottom or from the top right, and the top right means the overlord has to move across the entire map in front of marine range, so that's typically not where it'll come from.
Yeah. So we do see the Zerglings making their way up the ramp here, and so he's going to kind of have a little bit better idea as to what his opponent's going. And we do see the Zerglings do get up the ramp and attacking the lings here, and very nice placement by Loner with that bunker. Very common on this map, as we said before, with the surrounds. And yeah, we'll kind of have to see the gas timing for Loner.
Yeah.
So we see a double gas going down right now for TSL Hune. On top of that as well, we do have the 3rd going down, and he is right now at the 36 mark. So as we talked about at the top of the show, at the 36 mark, you should have your 3 gases, and it looks like he is just about on that.
Yeah, sorry. So we're apparently set to, we're playing Mist of Pandaria. I don't know what StarCraft was doing on here earlier this week.
That's all right. I will fix that. There we go.
All right.
All right. Well, that is updated there.
All right. Sounds good. Thank you.
Yep.
All right, so thank you very much, Mr. Joshua Hugh Lewis. But so we do have a third queen out here for Hune, and that's going to be to defend against SCVs and stuff. But as we can see, he has 3 gases, stops at 44 drones, builds that Roach Warren, and we're going to see multiple overlords come out here. Zergling speed has gone down, and one of the key notes of this build is a very late layer and no tech. I mean, technically Roach is tech, but it's not really tech, right? It's not +1/+1. It's not lair. It's those are basically the only tech Zerg has actually. So.
Yeah, and as we talked about earlier, guys, defending early in this game here, the key is to either make a spine or an additional queen. And since the last patch, or 2 patches ago now, if we're considering this last patch, that additional queen has been very helpful with not only spreading creep, but also denying Hellions.
That's definitely right. And we're going to see some late Hellions here out of Loner, simply because he went for that 3cc before gas build, which is actually very common these days. It's pretty greedy, but it's something that a lot of people do. They want to get the Cloak Banshee out, but they want to have a lot of SCV production. And this is something that's prone to taking a lot of damage from something like a Roach Bane all in. So as we can see, 12 Roaches have come out now. 18 Zerglings are on the way. After those Roaches were started, that Baneling nest went down. It's already 3/4 of the way done, and Loner scans it right now and goes, "Uh-oh, I know
crap.
what this is."
Yes. Yeah, it's very common. The scan that he did get down did reveal the Roach Warren and also the Baneling nest. So at this point in the game, it's very common to see this type of build. Furthermore, Loner did actually scout the 3rd with his Hellions and did see that he wasn't taking a 3rd. So as we talked about, guys, this is exactly what you should be doing. And as you can see, he has enough gas to support all those Banelings.
Yeah, and he's actually overmining gas here, which is a little bit of an issue, but he doesn't mind because he knows if this doesn't work, he wants to go again, right? Because this is super all in at this point. It's 3 gas, no lair, no tech, nothing. So we can see Loner's reaction, pull all of his Marines except for 1 in the bottom bunker and fill that top bunker that he started as soon as he saw this coming. He takes a ton of damage from these Banelings right away. All the Roaches are in. There's no units in here at all, and this build is going to actually just crush Loner right now. That's just what's going to happen.
Yeah, really nice job there. Those Banshees, unfortunately, aren't doing enough damage to hold everything back. And pretty much the damage has been done. Game 1, nicely by TSL Hune. Yeah, I think that's all we need to see for Game 1.
Yeah, so I do want to say I went through a ton of Hune's replays because I have a replay pack of him because he's one of the few pros that actually releases replay packs every once in a while. But he does that almost every game on that map. He does not like to play on it, I think. So, just something very interesting I found. Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry. I have to look at my phone here. I didn't realize. With the new system, I put in my authenticator code to get back into StarCraft. It's like, oh, jeez.
This patch, man.
I know.
I don't want to complain too much, but...
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
I'm not the biggest fan.
Yeah, it broke a lot. I mean, what? It fixed a lot? It's doing great things? Yeah, Blizzard. Go Blizzard. Alrighty, so I'm still just getting in here. In the meantime, guys, I want to make sure you guys do check out, all the locations to find us. If you are on YouTube and you are checking out this VOD, please make sure you go ahead and check us out live Sunday nights at 10 p.m. And
you can ask questions live.
Exactly, especially chat room live. If you guys have any questions about any of this, please let us know. We'd be more than willing to answer any of them live right on the show. So anyways, make sure you check that out, twitch.tv/amovetv. If you're in the chat channel right now checking us out, and want to see some of the other episodes that we've done, check us out on YouTube, youtube.com/thestrategistTV. And then on top of that, if you're interested in finding out a little bit more in regards to, when we go live, when our VODs are up, some of the news that we're breaking, check out our Twitter feed, which is twitter.com/thestrategistTV. And finally, if you have recommendations, you have hate mail, you have suggestions, please make sure you send them over to thestrategisttv@gmail.com. We check it daily. If you have questions, we can email you back right away on a build, on a combination, on a player, anything. Please let us know, and we'd love to get back to you guys.
All right. So Flip9 in the chat actually asked, what do you do as a Terran to stop that? And that is actually why we do this show, you guys. We don't do this show just to tell you how to kill people. We do this show to tell you how to survive. So the last 2 replays we do watch will be Tajii holding this build.
Yep.
And for now, though, we're going to show someone else crushing someone else with this build, because that's how this works, right? You gotta be like, oh, this build works. See, I'm telling you it works. I'm showing you it works. And then I'm like, but you can stop it. So we'll get to it, I promise.
Yeah, at the end of the show, we always like to talk about how to defend against these builds. So definitely, keep that in mind. We're gonna put your question on the back burner and get back to that in just a minute. But in game 2, just to make sure, TSL Hune versus Complexities QXC.
That is correct.
Alrighty, and I am starting that in 3, 2, and 1. And in the bottom left-hand corner of the map, we do have our returning champion, TSL Hune, representing the Red Zerg.
Yep. And at the top right, we do have Complexities QXC playing against Hune in the IPL. Okay. I actually have no idea what this is from, actually. I went through so many replays.
Yeah, well, it's actually interesting. Both these players were actually in the Strategist Open that we held a few weeks back.
Yeah.
And Complexity QXC was the first player we actually casted.
Yeah. And we casted a couple of his games, actually.
Correct.
But yeah, we had a lot of best of ones and a lot of good players. I didn't really expect that many good players to sign up, and a lot of them got knocked out really early, unfortunately, because there was a lot of talent in the field. So
yeah, we had TSL players in there, Complexity players. On top of that, we also had FXO players. From Team Light, we had Team Light players. So a lot of really, really good players in the tournament. There's actually 3 VODs because it's 4 hours long. So if you guys want to check that out, make sure you check out our YouTube, youtube.com/thestrategistTV. And I have not watched this replay yet, so I'm very interested to see if we kind of see QXC's bunker play. We'll have to see if we actually see that in this game.
Nah. And he does it a lot, but this map is really bad for it because the creep can just be pushed around the sides of the third. You got to have the bottom of the ramp and no exit away from that, like Ohana and stuff. Yeah, I do like to see really cute moves like that, but unfortunately the map pool is not very adept to it right now. All the maps are like not great for that strategy, but it's really cool.
Yeah.
I hope people saw what we were talking about before. I don't remember what episode that was.
That one I don't remember either. Maybe we'll do an episode on that. We'll have to see. But yeah, Complexity QXC has really started to trademark that as his kind of bunker placement build. But unfortunately, we won't be looking at that here. So, as we talked about earlier, guys, there's the hatchery going down to 15 along with the spawning pool there. And we're not seeing that kind of early harass at this point with the bunker placement. So, this will give TSL Hune a little bit more time when it comes to droning up. And you actually see this build a little bit more completed a little bit better because he isn't having that delay from the bunker.
Yeah. And this is going to be, a very similar game to the last one. So one of the questions in chat was, does this build work against Toss? And the answer is
maybe.
very dependent. But it's not specifically supposed to be used against Protoss because Protoss have force fields, and the metagame right now is to FFE into very fast Immortals, and Immortals are very good against both Roaches and Banelings. And force fields, of course, very good against both as well. So, potentially, yes. Likely, no. But you could probably get away with it in a lot of leagues.
Yeah, it depends what league you are and the scouting that's been done. But side note, just want to point out, we saw a 1 Rax fast expand coming out of Complexity's QXC, and he's following up that with another command center. And actually a double gas. So really cool to see this. This is actually the build that I follow right now. And I actually started doing it from watching EG's to Muslims. So really love this build, but it is very risky depending on what your opponent's going. And we're going to see that develop here in the next few minutes.
Yeah, and one thing is QXC scouted and he's like, okay, there's no gas. I'm fine. And then he leaves the base and Hune drops 2 gases. So he's going to be a little bit, not 100% sure of what's coming. And right now we actually see the Overlord from Hune coming in. And look at the information he's going to get. Watch this. He comes in, clicks on his opponent's gas, and leaves. You know what that tells him? He says, oh, you've only mined 80 gas at the 5-minute and 30-second mark?
Yeah.
You must have built 2 command centers. What else could it be?
Yeah, seriously. I mean, it's nuts to even consider that. But those things are, considered by those high-level players.
Yeah, so, I mean, Hune is kind of feeling this build out without losing his Overlord, not giving any information away. Terran player didn't even see his Overlord come in. Like, that's how sneaky he was. He's so, awesome. And he's got 2 queens out front, just denying this SCV. And he says, okay, you went for a really greedy build. I'm going to drop this Roach Warren here. And he gets really lucky because QXC scans and sees everything but the Roach Warren.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, that's literally over like 2 more blocks. So right now, TSL Hune is sitting extremely comfortable. That Roach Warren will be finished up here in the next few seconds. And as of right now, TSL Hune is sitting very comfortably. He has an idea what his opponent's going. He has the map completely covered. And so far, I mean, everything's looking very, very nice for TSL Hune. And I love getting in these positions as players, scouting your opponent out to the point where you know exactly what you're doing is going to be effective.
Yeah, because this is no longer a blind all-in, right? This is him saying, I know what you're doing, so I'm going to try to punish you for being too greedy, right? Yeah. It's a smart play. It's not a gimmicky, like, ladder. Oh, I really hope he's not ready for this. Here we go. Let's get some free ladder points.
Yeah. So right now, the Roach Warren is completed, and the Roaches are now funneling out. And on top of that, we're actually seeing a third getting taken by TSL Hune, which is a very smart move. If this attack does not completely succeed, he at least has some type of economy to fall back on, and the Roaches are moving across the field.
And one thing to note also is that Hune didn't plan to do this all in, right? This wasn't a I'm gonna make 36 drones and then I'm gonna make a Roach Warren and then we're gonna keep droning and that. No, it was I'm gonna go ahead and play a normal game. Oh, he's playing really greedy. Let's punish him. So we had more drones to start. So this is hitting actually a little bit later, but it's okay because QXC is playing so much more greedy here. So as we can see, 10 Banelings are morphing with 10 Roaches, and he's got a Speedling follow-up. Not a lot of units out for QXC. He's got a few Hellions, and the bunker is going to come up and be repaired, and it's going to do a lot of damage to these Roaches before these Banelings get here, actually.
Yeah, and that was completely delayed, largely as well as his scouting, but also on top of that, he didn't take his 3rd gas until just now.
Yeah, that's correct, and that's something that you can get from hitting a little bit later, right? You already have those gases going, and everything is a little bit delayed, so he has more gas to work with because he wasn't investing in something else already. As we can see, 19 drones coming out for Hune here, 42 to 76 supply, and QXC taking a lot of damage, but look, no more units coming across the map for Hune. He did what he wanted to do. Take a look. Workers killed count, 24 workers killed for our Zerg player here. So our Terran's on 26 compared to 55 Harvesters, and the only thing Hune has to do right now is not die to these Cloak Banshees.
Yeah, and I mean, his 3rd is set up, ready to go. He is going to start putting drones on that, and that was extremely effective. It did exactly what he wanted to do, and it was delayed. And we say delayed, if you're taking a look at this, is because he didn't, as Buddha said, he didn't start this build from the very beginning, having it in mind. So, like, he didn't take the gas on 36. He took it a little bit later. His attack didn't hit at the 7:30 mark. It was a little bit later. So, all little things to keep in mind. But long story short, this replay is over in about 4 minutes or so. Anything particular that we should look out for, or should we jump into Game 3?
I just love seeing Hune play, man.
Yeah.
All right, let's hop out.
Alrighty, so let's go ahead
and log back in.
Oh, I know. It's like, I love you too, Blizzard. In the meantime, guys, while we are waiting for StarCraft to load up, I want to point you guys out to one of our partners, tweakedaudio.com. They are a high-end earbud company. And I say high-end earbuds because they're amazing earbuds. They're noise canceling. They're set up for gaming and also for music. And the coolest thing about them is they are an affordable, great price. So you have these really nice high-end earbuds at an affordable price, starting at around the 27 mark. With a 30% discount, you're down to around $15.95, and you get a lifetime warranty. I do not know of any other headphone, earbud, peripheral brand that gives you a lifetime warranty on your product. Now, granted, someone from the chat room is probably going to blast me away and be like, "No, this company does give lifetime," but I don't know of any off the top of my head. So please make sure that you guys do check it out. Tweakedaudio.com, and make sure you use the promo code BuildOrder, one word. That will get you the 30% off. And let me go ahead and jump into Game 3. 1 second here.
Sure. And while we're jumping into Game 3, because I totally forgot to do that right now too, now we're going to jump into some ways to kind of stop it. And for the most part, Taves is going to do a great job. So I guess the only thing I have to say here is, how do you react to this?
Yep.
That is one of the main questions, because even if you do kind of see it coming a little bit, you might not be 100% sure. But there are some good ways to deal with it regardless. So, for example, if you see a Roach Warren from your opponent, it could be 3 Roaches coming out to defend against Hellions, right? Or it could be 10 Roaches and a Baneling follow-up. You have no idea, unless you get a good idea of the gas count, and all these different things have to flow in, but you're not 100% sure all the time. You can't get all the information on one scan unless your opponent's really bad. So, basically how to react to it, there's a couple of key points. Did we make a slide for this before I go?
We do have a scouting slide right here that we can kind of go over, so why don't you go ahead with it?
Scouting slide.
All right, well, I'll jump into it, guys, real quick. Things to scout for. If you're, as someone had asked earlier in the chat channel, things that you need to look for as a Terran player to scout this out. One thing you need to pay attention to is there no evolution chamber with gas? Because most of the time you get your gas for the upgrades. So if there's no Evo chamber, you know, keep that in mind. Second, if there's no layer with the gas. Finally, on third, which this is like the biggest thing that you need to pay attention. There's more than 100 gas mined. So usually, if you're going to see like a quick third getting taken by Zerg and a lot of lings running around the map, you're going to see the player get 100 gas and then stop mining gas for a period of time. The whole purpose of that is to make sure you know, he can get speed for his speedlings. But if you see continuous units on gas, even after 100 gas, that's a key thing to keep in mind. Finally, to keep in mind is if you see a Roach Warren in production, and you see a bunch of unused larvae around the hatchery, that's another key as to how to scout this, because you know as soon as that Roach Warren's done, he's going to use up that larva and out come those roaches. And finally, if there's no fast third and no macro hatch, then you know something's up. So a few things to keep in mind, how to scout this out, and Buddha can kind of tell you right now how to react to this then.
Sure. Yeah. Out of those, my favorite tell is the unused larva one. If you see 7 larvae sitting at one hatchery, and you're like, well, there's a Roach Warren about to complete here. Why isn't he making drones? You should have a good idea. At least 7 roaches are coming at you. Likely there's, you know, 7 more larvae at the second hatchery and stuff. So, on to how to react to it. Okay, so there's a couple of key things here. One, don't attack. That's the worst thing you could possibly do. This build is designed to make a lot of units really fast, and it's designed to catch you off guard. So if you move across the map, you're going to get caught out in the open with speedlings, and then roaches are going to walk over and crush your army, and you're going to be like, oh, Zerg OP. But in reality, why did you move out against a Zerg with a lot of units on the map? Second, make a lot of bunkers. And when I say a lot, I mean like 3, 4, 5. Don't make like 20 bunkers, please. And keep them on the high ground and the low ground, right? So above your top wall off, and then on the low ground, spread out below it, all that kind of stuff. And spread them out, because Banelings will crush multiple bunkers with just, you know, 7 of them, as opposed to using 7 on each bunker if they're all spread out. And then keep a few SCVs at each on auto repair, and, you know, you can sacrifice some SCVs. Your Zerg opponent's going to be way behind if this doesn't work. Yeah. Even if you lose some SCVs here. So, if you identify this really, really early, as in, like, you scan, and he's, like, taking 2 gases, and you scouted a gas at his third at the same time or something with an SCV, then just go for tanks. Get your stupid thing off of Hellions, get it off the reactor, get your factory onto a tech lab, get some tanks out, get some Marauders out, get some Marines out. You're going to need all of them. And if you can get tanks with siege mode out, you're going to crush this. I didn't even provide a replay of someone making tanks against this because it's not even funny, okay? The guy walks up your ramp with slow roaches and slow banelings. Everything blows up, and the Zerg goes ... and they leave the game.
Yep.
If you don't identify it early, go Hellion Marauder. Hellion Marauder is a really powerful composition against everything early game Zerg. And if you get stim out with Hellions and Marauders, you can use the Hellions to kite the Zerglings out, use the Marauders to tank the Baneling shots. Marauders are really, really exceptionally good against roaches, especially in bunkers. And then after that, get a good unit spread. Hold position. H is a really good button for Terran against the initial Banelings. And then once the Banelings are gone, stim, run backwards, use choke points behind mineral lines, between buildings, all sorts of stuff. Only when the Banes are gone, of course. But you're going to hold it almost no problem at that point. And we're going to see Tajii do that even with some really risky builds here.
Yeah, and in chat channel, Flip Knight had just asked, can't you just drop or something with a Banshee 2 drones to buy time? You can't really because of the timing. And if you, let's say you spend all of your money on, you don't expand, and you just go right into a drop play, and you drop 1 set of medevacs. Those are like 6 units. If he has any roaches that haven't moved out yet, he can just clean you up. And on top of that, if that fails, you got a whole shitstorm at your front door. So I wouldn't recommend that. As Buddha said, kind of go with like a Marauder tank if you really can scout it early enough.
And you won't have units or medevacs or banshees. Like, your starport will be finishing, and this build will be hitting you.
Yeah.
So to take units away from your defense at that point would be bad. And to be honest with you, if you hold it, even if you lose a lot of stuff, you're actually in an okay position. And we'll see that in the 4th game. It's actually really surprising, regardless of how the game might look, even from a caster standpoint. Like, you look dead, but in reality, like, there's a couple of things going on that you really have to look a little deeper into what each player has to do. So, no, you can't do that unless you're on 1 base, and then the Zerg shouldn't be doing this anyways. So, yeah.
Alrighty, well, let's go ahead and jump into game 3. And what 2 players do we have here? Liquid Tajii, and who's the second player?
The second player is actually Terius. Oh God, it's not Foyu anymore. Terius Prime now.
Terius Prime. Okay, great. So let's go ahead and jump into game 2. Are you all set, Buddha? Or game 3?
I am.
All right, great. And we're gonna get started in 3, 2, and 1. And in the bottom left-hand corner, we have the blue Terran being represented by Liquid's Tajii.
And at the top right, previously on the team Foyu, he is now Terius Prime playing as the red Zerg player.
Alrighty, so this is a build, or this is a replay you were saying that we're going to see a strong Terran hold with defense-wise?
Alright, let me just clarify and say, there is no strong Terran hold against this unless you get siege tanks out, like, really fast.
Okay.
So, if you're playing Terran and you come up against this, keep in mind, you're going to take damage. Because everything Zerg has is designed, in this build, is designed to one-shot something, right? Baneling's going to one-shot your bunker, going to one-shot your units. Roaches trying to one-shot your units. That's all they're trying to do. So, just keep in mind, you're not going to be unharmed during all of this. But with good control, you'll be in a good position afterwards. And that's what's important, I think. So, strong Terran hold, sure, but we're not making siege tanks, so we're going to take some damage still.
So our Zerg player right away is scouting across the map right now. As we saw in our first game, kind of an early scout going on here. We will have to see if he actually scouts out the barracks on the low ground for Liquid Tajii.
Yeah, and his scouting path is actually really weird, but it is going to find it. And Tajii actually has an SCV there, like, at the perfect time. I don't know how he did that. He, like, went to his barracks also. So maybe he was going to 2 racks here, and now he's just going to 1 racks FE. But maybe not. I don't really know.
Yeah, we'll have to see kind of how it develops. Liquid Tajii, for those of you joining, has been playing amazing recently. And is just doing super, super well in all of his tournaments. Definitely representing Team Liquid very, very well. And dude,
the most hated player by Terrans of all time is Liquid Tajii. He is the player who is single-handedly keeping them from getting a buff.
Yeah, that's a shame because they need it. Anyways, back in. We do see the hatch getting taken, and on top of that, we do actually have the spawning pool. So what we need to pay attention to is how Liquid Tajii is scouting and what he's scouting. So right away, he does see the hatch, and now he's moving up to the top of the ramp.
Yep, and he's just going to check the gas, see that there's a spawning pool, and you can be like, okay, cool. You're not going to super all-in me. Super all-in as in, like, DRG7 Roach Rush or something like that. And by the way, if you guys like the builds that you're seeing Tajii do, and you're like, oh, this is really cool, this is really safe, you can check out the 1-racks FE builds we did for Terran versus Zerg in episode 3.
I think it was 3 or 2 or 3.
Yeah, it was 3. I wrote it down even. Oh, I'm so good. Sorry, I was really tired this morning, so I don't remember what I wrote down or not. So yeah, we basically did this entire Terran versus Zerg build with the fast 3 command centers into factory Banshee or whatever. As we can see, we have a 3rd command center before gas for Tajii, and now he's going to take double gas, and yep. Yep. Yep.
Yep, and this is pretty typical. We actually saw this in the last replay. This is becoming very popular at the end of Season 8 here. And on top of that now, checking back at the base here, we do see the first gas getting taken for our Zerg player. And we should see an additional one. There it is at the natural, any second. So as of right now, we're seeing this build start to develop. And but what we did see there is a big scout. The lings did get in and get a big scout there, so this is going to allow us to go ahead and see, okay, you know, this allowed our Zerg player to see what exactly Liquid Tajii was going at this point.
Yeah, so he is, well, I mean, he has an okay idea. He didn't get into the main, see the gases, or the third command center. So, you know, he's kind of sitting here going, okay, 1 racks expand, you're at least double gassing, if not command center into double gassing. So, he has a really good idea of what's likely coming. Unfortunately, players of this caliber are looking all over for overlords and stuff, so can't really get an overlord down to the bottom right of Tajii's main, but it's okay. As we can see, we have Zergling speed and a Roach Warren dropping right now at 44 supply for our Zerg player, so very consistent timing amongst most of these players we've been keeping an eye on today. We're going to see a couple overlords come out, and yeah, this is off of 2 gas, so it's going to be, I don't want to say weaker.
I don't want to say weaker. I mean, we might have a few less banelings compared to normally because of the lack of gas that is actually available once this goes ahead and hits. And we actually see, sorry about that, we actually do see a bunker going down at the third for Liquid Tajii, trying to deny our Zerg opponents, excuse me, Zerg opponents natural or third.
Oh, that's why I added this replay. Okay, so yeah. Sorry. I'm so retarded. Terius wanted to take a third, actually, but he sees this, and he immediately starts 3 overlords. He's like, oh, I can't take my third. We gotta make some roaches. So he makes 3 overlords, starts a bunch more roaches, and a baneling nest right away, right?
Yeah.
So he's going, okay, you're gonna do this? Well, you're a meanie head, so I'm going to all in you.
Yeah,
and,
pretty much he turns on the alt kill switch. He's like, all right, you're dead. Turned it on. All right, Baneling Roach, here we go.
And this would be a strong move against a normal player, but he's playing Liquid Tajii, and he's being less decisive than he needs to be, right?
Yeah.
He needs to be saying, okay, well, you're really good, so I either have to play super macro or super all-in. He has to be ready for that bunker to be there. But now he's changing his mind, and it's going to be a little bit delayed, but not so delayed. I mean, Tajii did take a third fast command center. So as we can see, the Roaches are out. The Hellions have spotted them. Tajii's attacking the third base of the Zerg because he...
Oh, the Hellions get right up the ramp, actually, into the natural. And are trying to do as much damage, but those queens are there to pretty much defend off and stop the damage. But in the meantime, we do have the attack at the front door.
Alright, so keep an eye on this Banshee and the wall off Tajii just made. He's like, oh, you're going to do this? I'm going to make a giant wall. And he snipes a Baneling before he gets up there, continues to target Banelings throughout the fight. Well, I mean, there's only 1 Baneling left, but he does chase it down and kill it. And Tajii basically is going to lose a lot of stuff here. Like I said, this is how this all-in works. You're probably not going to hold. You don't have a lot of units. So, as we can see, he moves all of his SCVs around, goes up his ramp as quickly as possible, and then closes that ramp off. Oh my god, look at that. That was so close. But he didn't get it up. That's... I'm not going to make it there.
Yeah, I heard it. I heard it coming. You have to get it up as soon as possible, people. As soon as possible.
Yeah, so he's going to hold the front of his wall up. And look at this, man. All these units streaming in, and they're like, well, I really wish you didn't have a wall up here. So 2 Banshees going to chase this entire attack off by themselves. He's got Cloak, and on the other side, right now Terry's going, well, that didn't go quite as well as I wanted to. Supply is currently 70 to 63. Harvester count's almost even, 36 to 43. Look at that third Tatchery, almost dead right now. And Terry is going, well, he's got Banshees out. I wonder if he has Cloak.
Yeah.
And immediately in his head, he's like, oh, crap. Drops 5 Spore Crawlers. 5. That's 800 minerals in Spore Crawlers if you count the drones.
Yeah, and once again, folks, the reason that he was able to counter this so properly is he actually had 2 walls. He had the first wall, which was of the supply depots, and the second wall, which is at the top of the ramp. So for Flip Knight that was asking, you know, how do you really counter this as Terran? It's having the wall placement. If you can get siege tanks out, please do get those out. And then also the repairs, which are critical to this. And do we need to see anything else out of this build?
Kind of, yes.
Okay.
Actually.
Okay.
All right, so after you hold something like this and you're not in a terrible position, there's a couple of things you need to do, and we're going to see it next game too. It's apply pressure, and there's a couple of reasons for it. The most obvious one is you're playing against a Zerg player, and Zerg players hate to be pressured. They hate it so badly. But your opponent just all into you. So what do they want to do? They want to come back into the game economically. They need to make drones. So if you pressure them, you're going to keep making units and SCVs, and they're going to have to make a choice. Yeah, they can do half and half or something, but how safe do they feel? They don't know exactly how many units you have. So Tajii is like, well, I don't have medevacs out yet, but I got these units, so I'm going to attack. And he's just moving across the map right now. And look, Terius is playing the greediest Zerg you can play right now. He's got like 4 queens on the map as his entire defense.
Yeah.
So Tajii just stims up here and kills off all these drones, and he's going to get the 3rd base. And yeah, he's eventually going to lose these units to some Zerglings and some drones and some queens and stuff. But look how much damage this did already. The supply is 120 to 80.
Yeah, and really, really impressive, especially because we did actually see a Spire go down for our Zerg player here. And they can't even use it. Can't even utilize it right now because of his economy. He's too busy, you know, trying to defend off these units, and the Liquid Taja's bio army will get cleaned up there. But he did exactly what he wanted to. He took out his Zerg player's economy, which was the 3rd, and he went ahead and took a 3rd of his own. So right now, economically, Liquid Taja is ahead.
And that Spire is pretty... I think it's a pretty poor decision, actually.
Yeah.
And we can go ahead and exit this replay now, because Taja's infinitely ahead at this point. If you are playing Zerg, and you think you're behind, you have to go Infestation Pit. I mean, you can gamble and go Spire or something, but Infestors are going to be your most cost-efficient unit in the entire game. So if you're stuck on 2 bases against like a 2-base Protoss because you lost your 3rd or something, go Infestors. I'm serious. Like, you just have to get lucky with trading efficiently. Well, not lucky, but you just got to find a way out of it. And typically, the best response is always Infestor. Until you're like a really high level, like, just go Infestor if you think you're behind.
That's like
every matchup.
That's like Protoss. When you're behind, make DTs. When you're Zerg,
yeah, but
when you're
DTs
behind,
are so much more gimmicky. You can't compare those.
That is true. That is very true. I do have our 4th game up. Are you loaded up just yet or not yet?
No, because G-Dog's distracting me in the chat.
G-Dog. Jeez. Alright, well, we are going to be jumping into Game 4 here in just a minute, guys. We are going to see Liquid Taja playing again. And on top of that, we're going to have TSL shine. TSL making a big appearance here with our replays this week. So we're really happy to definitely show that after the tournament, just the other week, kind of kickstarting. And you just about in, Buddha?
Yeah, did we do pros and cons of these builds at the beginning?
We did not. Why don't we actually jump into that right now before our last one?
All right. Yeah, because that was something I was like doing a reference to something that I don't think we had. I don't know. All right. So basically, the strengths of this build is it's really strong against a fast 3cc Terran player, which is kind of the metagame right now, and it's even effective against a Terran player that went 1 Rex expand that's not prepared for it, right? If they're not looking for it, or you know, they see it when it's right in front of their base or something, then it's really effective there still as well. And also, even if your opponent is preparing, it's a really powerful timing that even if they're ready for it, it's still going to do significant damage, and it's kind of funny. Yeah, those are the good things about this build. The bad things about this build is if you don't win with it, you're kind of techless. You don't have a lair, you don't have upgrades, all your gas got used on units that are now dead, and unless you did a really lot of damage, really lot of damage.
Unless you pretty much took out your opponent's natural and crippled him.
Yeah, I mean, unless you did so much damage that they are just trolling you and lifting their command center to the corner of the map, you kind of might be in a little bit of trouble. Even if you think you did a lot of damage. And we're going to see that this game, which is really exciting. But even a significantly damaged Terran with 3 command centers can recover with huge SCV losses. Because 3 command centers are really good and mules are really good. And Terran can make really cost-efficient units, especially if you have no tech. So Why don't we go ahead and hop into this game here?
All right, excellent. And let's go ahead and get started in 3, 2, and 1. And in the bottom left-hand corner, I believe this is MLG. It might be GSL, but it is Daybreak. We have the blue Terran being represented as Liquid Tajii.
And at the top right, we do have TSL Shine as the red Zerg player.
Good deal. So, jumping into this game here, what we expect to see is Liquid Tajii defending against this again, possibly, or no? Do we see a complete success from TSL Shine?
Oh, sorry, what?
My question was, is this going to be a defense build, or are we going to see TSL Shine be successful in completing the Roach Baneling all-in this build?
It's going to be a combination.
Okay.
It's going to be a combination here. Yeah, so why don't we just fast forward a little bit here, because we've seen this build 3 times now.
Sure,
so.
sure. What time would you like to go to?
I will let you know in just a second.
Alrighty. Alright, so as you can see, nothing too crazy as we're zipping through this here. We are about the 2:30 mark right now, just kind of zipping through. We do see the hatchery going down for TSL Shine along with his spawning pool. And nothing too outstanding. We do have an Overlord kind of scouting a lot of what is going on for Liquid Tajii, which once again is a 1-Rax fast expand.
Alright, why don't we go ahead and jump to 5... let's just go to 6 minutes.
Alrighty, I will meet you there. Let's see how good I am to get on that. Oh, I'm 15 seconds short. Hang on. Oh, there we go. Okay, and back down to faster. And hitting play in 3, 2, and 1. Alrighty, so far what we do have right now, guys, is the 2 gas getting taken by TSL Shine. Nothing, and everything else is pretty typical. But what we do see a little bit differently now is we actually do see speed getting researched for TSL Shine, along with the Roach Warren going down at the natural.
Surprise, surprise. And this is kind of cool. Tajii actually is moving out with 4 Marines here. And he's just clearing towers. Like, Shine's not going to have any, like, Zerglings out or anything to kill these Marines off, right? Because no one does that. That would be dumb. But look at this. Tajii has a bunker at the 3rd of Shine. That's kind of cool. He's repairing it. He's microing his SUV into the bunker and moving Marines over there. Yeah. And, yeah, he's just basically going to deny the 3rd base. So, from Shine, this could be something similar to the last game where we saw Terius actually go for an all-in because he had to. He was forced into it, kind of. So, yeah, we're going to see a lot of Roaches pop out here.
Yeah, definitely. And as of right now, as you can see, a very heavy queen count for TSL Shine. You know, and that's what he expected to use as his defense there. And these queens are going to make their way out and try to stop the bunker here. Not really going to do too much damage, but as Buddha had said there, we do actually see 10 Roaches coming out into the field, 8 Lings, and we have the Baneling nest that just got started.
And on Tajii's side, we actually see a non-Banshee build coming out. We have a bio build coming out, which means he's going to have Marauders as his form of defense here. And if we take a look at his vision, he doesn't really have any information. Hasn't seen any of the gases of his opponent, but he knows there's no 3rd base, right? So, Banshees, maybe not quite as effective, simply because Queens have less space to cover, especially on a map like this where the main through 3rd are much more spread out than before. But as we can see, very smartly Shine is going around the towers here. He's going to send his Roaches through it, but his Zerglings are going to go around so they can start morphing ahead of time, and the Roaches can kind of clear that tower a little bit, and Tajii's going to know what's going on because he has all his Hellions there, but yeah, take a look at how many Banelings we have coming in. We have 16.
Wow. Yeah, that's going to be super effective, and the Roaches now working with the Hellions there, not going to do too much, and the Banelings are just about ready to come in, and we see 2 bunkers down right now, and a ton of SCVs trying to scoot through. And so right away we do see the Roaches attacking the bunkers there, pretty much doing a very nice job. And I do like how TSL Shine does go ahead and pull his Banelings back, pretty much to not get those sniped out by the Marauders. Furthermore, the Roaches up in the top of the base of Liquid Tajii, and the Banelings going right in to work for any Marines and SCVs that are left. And look how many SCVs are now on the main base.
Yeah, and I mean, there are a lot of them, and he's actually using them to engage Banelings here because he doesn't want all of his SCVs to die. Yeah. So he sends like half of them at it, which is a little bit overkill by a long shot for sure. But Stim is done. Marauders are popping out of these barracks right now, and Tajii is is slowly kind of dying here, as you can see. But his wall is still up, and it's actually going to stay up somehow.
Yeah. Somehow.
Yeah. More Marauders are on the way. Tajii still has that second command center. His mules are mining. He's got that third command center in his main. Not making SCVs, trying to save his money for Marauders as much as he can because, well, he needs to not die.
Yeah,
and
there we go. And it looks like he breaks through there, and we do see TSL Shine getting in with a few more lings and doing a nice job actually keeping his economy up as much as possible. Liquid Tajii sitting on about 5 to 450 about of minerals, and just enough to continue, you know, kind of producing units out, and it looks like he might be able to hold this off.
Yep. So looks like we have. Well, let's take a look at the harvest ground, I guess, right? 18 to 39 right now, definitely in the Zerg's favor. He's taking that third at the middle base, which is not a gold, and it's not the full, like, ladder version of the middle base.
Yep.
Because his third base, of course, is blocked by that bunker, so he's going to go take it out now. But at this point in time, Shine needs to make units, because Tajii's still making units, he's still making SCVs. Shine knows that he did a lot of damage. So taking that third base is absolutely okay here. He's taking more gases. He's going to lair, going double evo, all very smart things because he knows he can make units and live against what Tajii is going to send at him. But he just has to deny any kind of pressure. So he's making a few more roaches to add a little bit of sustainability to his army. And yeah, as we can see, Tajii is moving out. And this is very smart because he knows that he can't just let the Zerg sit there and drone and tech, right? He has to apply some pressure. And by doing this, I mean, Shine sees this with his Overlord at the bottom of the map. You know, he sees the Hellions with his Zerglings running towards the third. So he's making Banelings. And all this is coming in and delaying the Infestation Pit. You know, delaying Aspire if he wants to, because the Zerg player is not behind right now. But as you can see, all of this is making Shine not drone. His money is really low. He does have 47 harvesters, but Tajii's catching back up, man. He's at 36 right now. And look at the supplies. He's only 10 down.
Yeah, believe it or not, I mean, completely effective right now. I mean, and pretty decent-sized army for Liquid Tajii at this point now. And pretty much, as you said, TSL Shine is now kind of on the defensive side. He doesn't have full map control, so he doesn't know exactly where his opponent is at all times. And on top of that, Liquid Tajii is kind of slowly moving his way in.
Yeah. So Tajii, as we can see, still has both of his command centers as main. He's not completely saturated on both those bases quite yet. And we'll move that out pretty soon here. But Shine breaking through the middle of the map, I'm not 100% sure I support that decision. With Roaches, maybe, but I don't think he's going to stay on Roaches. He's going for 1-1 with melee upgrades and stuff. And, yeah, let's go ahead and pause here because it's currently 107 to 115 supply. If you guys want to see the rest of this replay, we do post replay packs with all of our VODs now on YouTube with links and stuff. So, do you turn the... Oh, yeah, okay. Wait, I put my jacket back on. Sorry, it's really hot in Southern California. As we can see, it's... are you still in the replay? Or
I am. Yep, I'm still in. Go for it.
Okay, so... harvester count is even right now. It's 47 to 47. Supplies are pretty even, 107 to 115. Zerg being ahead is not actually that bad of a position. The unit composition for Shine is actually not that good. It's very, very roach heavy. He's got 18 roaches out on the map, which is way too high of a number, especially against a Marine Marauder composition with Medivacs coming out. It tends to get very weak very quickly. Unless your Banelings can get some very good connections, but with good micro, it's kind of a toss-up and stuff. So, yeah, this game's actually looking pretty good for Tajii. Both players going to 1-1. Zerg is ahead, but I mean, it's not a lost game anymore for Tajii. He definitely managed to come back because of those 3 CCs, able to get that SCV production back out, and because of his smart decision-making, right? Showing Shine those units, he made sure that Shine was making stuff the entire time. So, really smart play by Tajii. Just these little things, right? If Tajii had sat in his base and Shine had taken a 4th and then got to Infestors and then Tajii pushed out, he's dead. There's no way he's going to win anything. Yeah. But by forcing a Roaches and a really weak composition, he's actually in an okay spot.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that will go ahead and wrap up number 4. Is that correct? Yep, number 4.
Replay number 4?
Yes, replay number 4. Yep, that goes ahead and wraps up replay number 4. And I believe that's all the replays for this week, correct?
Yeah. Okay. So just remember, if you're playing Terran and you're doing a specific build, like, you know, you're following a build order to the letter, and you see this, think, how greedy am I playing? What do I need to hold this? If you're doing a 3cc with double upgrades, like before adding on additional barracks, with just the 111, you know, think to yourself, do I really need these upgrades right now? Can I make units instead? Can I add barracks and bunkers right now to try to survive? Should I? Like, what do I really need to live through this? And if you're not sure, there's two ways to do it, man. You can play really safe and not die to it almost every time, or you can play a little bit greedier, die to it and be like, oh, I got to cut back a little bit. Maybe go for one upgrade, and then, you know, maybe die to it half the time, and you can get a better read based on how much gas your opponent has mined at certain points in time, and all sorts of stuff. So, oh, throat's really dry. Yeah, there's a lot of different things you can do as Terran, and those are the little nuances of the game that you want to learn eventually. But for now, you know, try to play safe. Use those bunker placements, spread everything out, and you can be okay against it.
Yep, definitely. Well, excellent analysis there at the end of those replays there. Before we go ahead and check out, one last thing, guys. We want to make sure you guys go ahead and check out our sponsor, tweakedaudio.com. And amazing earbuds for a super discount if you use the promo code BuildOrder. And I actually have a review from one of our listeners that actually went ahead and purchased the earbuds and wrote us a quick review. So this isn't just, you know, coming from us, guys. We want to give you guys the feedback from the listeners. This was from G-Dog in the chat channel, also known as Gunner. He said, I just received my parkour earbuds in the mail, and I must say, they are some of the most high-quality earbuds I have owned. I have noticed some very nice touches to Tweaks earbuds. You don't normally see such 3 different sizes to fit anyone's ears perfectly. Also, the audio quality is amazing, and it sounds like you are in the game with noise-canceling technology. No distractions can phase you, making it perfect to take to noisy places such as gaming events or conventions, providing you with the best concentration possible, and they are extremely comfortable. They're amazing for long hours on the computer. The parkour earbuds are the perfect gaming earbuds for gaming. I strongly recommend these earbuds to any gamers who want the best quality earbuds. And like they say, it's less like earbuds and more like an in-head audio system. So thank you very much, actually, to G-Dog for writing that review for us for tweakedaudio.com. Make sure you guys go ahead and check that out. They support us. So please go ahead and support them so we can continue kind of putting these together for you guys. I really, really would appreciate it. Also, guys, if you guys want to keep in contact with us, myself or Buddha, please make sure that you guys do go ahead and check out us on YouTube, youtube.com/thestrategist.tv. If you're on YouTube checking out our VOD, check us out on Twitch, twitch.tv/amovetv. And if you want to keep up to date with both of us, check us out on Twitter, The Strategist TV. And finally, if you have a review of maybe one of the headphones or a review of a build that you did that was extremely successful that you got from the show, you have a recommendation, you have hate mail, suggestions, questions that we didn't get to answer today, make sure you guys shoot them over to our email at thestrategisttv@gmail.com because we would love to. Also, what do you got?
If you have replays that have to do with next week's topic at any point in time, feel free to send those because there are not a lot of replays accessible to the public from pros right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of pros that are getting a little, I don't want to say self-aware, but they're kind of keeping things isolated when it comes to their replays. They're not releasing as many replay packs, and on top of that, tournaments are like, nope, we're not giving them out. We're not allowing you. We've contacted some of the tournaments, and unfortunately, you know, they aren't willing to release us. They don't hate us. They're just not willing to share the replays because if they share them with us, then they have to share them with everyone else. So, you know, it's kind of one of those things. We're working very hard to find replays. You know, it's not like you can go on Google and look up 1 Rax Fast Expand, give me 10 replays. They're not available. So, as Buddha said, make sure you guys do hand them off to us. And make sure you guys check us out next week. We'll be going live at 10 p.m. On August 12th. And we're in the process of kind of discussing our next build. But by midweek, we'll definitely have that up on our post on Team Liquid. Go to Team Liquid, search for The Strategist, and you guys can go ahead and find that very, very easily and kind of go from there. Sound good, Buddha? Ready to head out?
Yes. I think so, Octane.
All right.
Next week we're doing Bombers, Terran versus Protoss, I think. As
Possibly.
long as we get replays.
Yeah, possibly. That's what we're hoping to announce, but we'll have to see.
All right. Well, make sure, lastly, check out our Twitters. mine's not right, but Octane's over here is OctanePro SC2. Yep. Mine is actually at Buddha SC2. We're working on it. Don't worry about it.
We are. We're working with. We have to get our graphic designer to make the adjustments. So bear with us, guys.
And yeah, seriously, if you guys have suggestions or anything, like I try to respond to emails within like 10 or 20 minutes of when we get them. So absolutely feel free if you have any questions about anything or want coaching. I do free coaching.
Yep.
Octane charges like $500 an hour or something.
That's right. That's right. $500. So it's not worth it if I could play and practice for the big championships and the tournaments. So come on now.
All right. So stick with us. Catch us next time, guys. And remember, practice hard and win easy.